Curtis Tidmore. Rebecca Berry. Liz Boisvert. Ann Devane. Jennifer Flores. John Young.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, so we've got a couple of draft minutes in front of us. Does anyone have any additions or corrections or clarifications in my minutes? Or subtractions? If not, the chair will entertain a motion. I'll second that. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Go through the minutes. Is there any discussion? No discussion, those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? We don't have any visitors or public comments unless there's something to be read in the record. I assume nothing there. So we're in staff report.
Perfect. Whoa, hey. It's kind of loud. Hi. I put this staff report together. I was going on vacation last week, so I was on vacation last week. So just sort of thinking about what we could talk about. You'll note that there's 4 things on the things that we could talk about. I figure we can also discuss other things as they can, as appropriate. The first thing that I put down there was the Certified Local Government Grant. And you'll remember that basically it's every 2 years we get a grant from the state. It's about $16,000 or so, which doesn't do a whole lot in terms of historic preservation of properties. But it's always helpful. You know, last time we tried to do a couple of projects in town that didn't quite work as well. It's more complicated to actually fund direct projects because you have to go through National Environmental Policy Act review. And like last time, we had one of the property owners actually back out at the last minute. And so then we had a chunk of money that we actually didn't spend. And so this year, what we tried to do originally was solicit proposals to have people help us think about a couple of things. Some standards for historic buildings, help us essentially give us a peer review of our standards for historic buildings. The second idea that we had was to solicit some help from somebody to actually provide guidance when people are coming in with projects. Those and that initial proposal didn't go anywhere, and so we actually went with something much better. I got a couple of these. So what we are doing this year instead, and I had sort of mentioned this at the last meeting, I think, is we're actually hiring Jane Honbeck. 2 different things. We're actually hiring Jane Honbeck to help people who are interested in doing historic or interested in either remodeling their property or doing rehabilitation on their property to figure out a way to do that in a way that's historically sensitive. We're also entering into a contract too with a gentleman who does historic window, wooden window repair and replacement. He's out of Dallas. And so rather than what we will be able to offer this year, which is, I think, really exciting, is an opportunity for somebody to either solicit some design assistance on their historic home or to solicit some information about how best to maintain their windows. And so those are sort of the scopes of work right there. Basically, we're almost ready to get both those things off the ground. It took some scrambling to try and figure out how to make this work. But that's sort of the direction that it makes sense to me to go with the certified local government funds at this point. Are there any questions about that, or did I explain it okay? Jane Honbeck? Architects at Atelier. Jane has done a number of projects. She's,
Yeah, Commissioners, I need to remind you to turn you push the button on your microphone whenever you're speaking, so the green light comes on. There's a little.
it's,
There it is. Okay, do I need to repeat myself?
It would help probably.
Okay, so I was mentioning that that was the architect, and I had no idea she was being chosen for this, but she did some work for me on my application. She also, on the house that eventually got torn down, they were thinking about rehabbing it at some point. She did the work on that too. And I'm sure she's done others. She's a very talented architect and has experience with historic homes and independence.
she also did the Cooper Building, the first floor of or maybe when that went through a facade replacement. She did the design for the Cooper Building. We were looking for it for another project, but we actually found her hand-drawn drawing. What I like about Jane, I mean, she's very nice. She's local. She's a very nice lady as well, and she hand draws everything. And so, I mean, she produces amazing stuff. Also, like, I mean, the benefit of this, frankly, is by offering the assistance up front, we can hopefully avoid people going too far down the road with a project or an idea and then coming to us and being like, this is what I would like to do. And then us saying, well, you have to do this instead or whatever, is hopefully preemptive, which I think would be beneficial. Also, I did reach out to our, the grant coordinator or whatever. You want to call the person from the state of Oregon, and she said that we can use it to target any property in the district, that so long as it's not physical work, it can serve any property in the district. And so what we can do then is even people who don't have historic properties, they could potentially use this to make their property look more historic, or incorporate features as you know, or even we have a number of non-contributing buildings that are historic, and so things could, more historic features could be brought back into the building. So
You're saying that this could be used, or are you coming to us to ask us if we should include new construction?
oh, it's not new construction. No, it would be non-contributing structures that exist within the district at this point. And this is not to produce design drawings per se, it's sort of the initials.
What about out of period?
Yeah, out of period would be included.
Okay, so we'll have three categories that this could apply to: historic contributing, historic non-contributing, and out of period in the historic district.
Yep,
Okay.
exactly.
I've got a question on, I think it's turning green, but,
There you go.
so how are we going to limit how much per project? Or how much of this bucket versus the other guy with the windows?
So what I did was when I allocated the two, I thought we're gonna get probably more people. I thought the design assistance probably was more
Right.
valuable.
Yeah,
And what Jane told me was for an initial conceptual design, it's somewhere between $300 and $500 from her. And so I set her budget at, I can't remember, I want to say it was $9,000 because, and so if that were at $300, that we could serve 30 properties. Doing something like that. At $500, it would be a little less than that, but we would just essentially monitor till it got close to that $9,000. If at that point we decide, you know what, we want to bump this up just a little bit more, we can do that. I felt like having some of the money left over for other things, like the Historic Preservation Award, was a good idea as well. So another thing, let me talk about the window assistance. The window assistance is another guy, he's local, he's done work in the city of Independence. He's from Dallas, so, I mean, maybe not entirely local, but he does good work. And so based on, and he's actually the one doing the windows on the old Catholic church building right now, what's currently the Berean Baptist Church. And we can actually talk about that later, because on number 2 on the Carnes Weaver Award, I think potentially the replacement of those windows on that church might be a project that's appropriate for that award. Those windows are very distinctive to the building, and when you look at what he has done, and I actually had Karen, I took a couple of pictures, I sent them to Karen, I don't know if she's got them available, but he does pretty amazing work, and what he is willing, or what he is scheduled to do with this is he can go out to people with wooden windows, and he can explain how the mechanisms work. He can, sort of, help people understand how they work, so they can appreciate their windows in a whole lot.
Where's his church?
It's the one on the corner of Third and Monmouth. Used
So-
to have that wooden statue out there or carving. It's right across from the women's club.
The old white church on the corner.
I thought that was, okay.
Well,
It is, he
Berean
said
Baptist.
it's currently a
It's
Berean Baptist.
originally a Catholic church.
Oh, all right.
a century
I never
ago.
knew,
So-
I never knew that.
So, I mean, it's hard to tell on this, but I mean,
No, yeah.
the one on the left is the new, right? And when you look at it, I mean, that is remarkably done. When you look at it and when you go up to it and I felt the window, right?
You see the wavy glass and the,
Yeah, I mean, the wavy glass is still there. He specifically, when I told him, a couple of years ago, like, hey, there's no way that we're gonna let you change out the wavy glass without having to go through historic preservation. That's a major change to the character of that building if you do that. And he went out, he specifically found wavy glass to match, and he rebuilt all the portions that were damaged. It's, when you look at them side by side, it's remarkable. I mean, it's remarkable. It's a beautiful window. And so anyways, he's gonna be the one to help with our window consultation. And, yeah, I guess,
what's his name?
it's Joseph Sackerson. It's,
Okay, don't say it on here.
it's from Valley Woodworks. The guy's name is Joseph Sackerson, though. He's very nice.
Sackerton.
And so this is sort of the scope of work that I gave to, that was agreed to with both of them. Ultimately, I think it's a way better use of our money than than last time, I would argue, so.
And then how are we gonna tell people about these?
What we're planning on doing is right now we have, the contract with Valley Woodworks is not quite done. Since I was gone last week, I just got his signature page. That was sometime last week, but I got to it today, and so Ken needs to sign it. And then, both of them will be under the contract. And then what we'll do is we'll try and do some outreach specifically to the district. So there'll probably be individual letter to every property owner within the district, or a postcard or something like that. And potentially, we'll even do some sort of video or something like that, because yeah.
Ghost Walk. Could we do something during Ghost Walk?
Yeah, potentially.
I mean, we could have a booth or a table or something about this stuff. And you know how many, I don't know if you ever go to Ghost Walk. How many hundreds of people go to Ghost Walk? They go to look at old buildings.
Yeah.
So here it is.
That's a good idea.
I have to take my grandson to Ghost Walk. I was gonna say I could be at the table, but really can't, because it only goes from 7 to 9 at night, so it's not a long-term thing.
But yeah, so anyways, like, this idea is sort of morphed over time, but where we're landing with this, I feel like is pretty exciting. I think it's exciting that we're able to pull both these folks in and help out on this project.
That's a good idea.
Okay, so as going to the second thing, the Carnes Weaver Award. I mean, we've sort of struggled trying to figure out a good project for potentially to award this year, but I think potentially the Catholic Church is a good project. It's not all done. I mean, the whole building has not all been redone, but I mean, having functional windows that aren't vinyl on that side of the street is a big win.
And it appears they've replaced the bottom 4 feet or so of the siding.
Yeah. Yeah, they did that a couple of years ago. Yeah,
I think when they finish it all, they'll look very nice.
yeah, I think so too.
And it might spur them to do more if we give them an award for the window, I think is what you're thinking.
Yeah, I think that they've been very cooperative with the whole, and patient with the whole project. Well, the last time we offered money for historic repair, I reached out to them specifically because I knew that those windows were, I mean, they needed repair. And rather than taking the money at that time, they waited, and they've done it right. They're putting in nice windows now. So I don't know. I think based on all of that, I think, yeah, it seems to me a project worthy of an award.
Does it only go to, is that just for homes that are on the historic registry? Or can it be, I think it was Eric Goodrich that was in here that's restoring that home on Fifth Street, and he's making sure that he meets all the criteria. So what's the criteria for it?
I don't think that we've ever quite defined what the criteria for that award is. I think that it's one of those things where a project, and maybe we should, but it's essentially an exceptional example of historic preservation. And within the last couple of years, I don't know if we've had, within the last year or so, I don't know if we've had a real good example of something that's an exceptional example.
Did the house at Monmouth and 7th get one?
No, it didn't. We could, I mean, one of the things that I put on here was that we could talk about alternative projects that might, we've given 2 awards in the past. Potentially, we could give 2 awards again.
And that would be kind of a nice, the property that Commissioner Flores is suggesting would be a nice bookend, because our last award, we did a commercial property and a residential, and this would be not a commercial, but certainly not residential.
And I understand that there are some aspects that maybe not all commissioners agree with, but we haven't lost that home. That home still stands, and that home will continue standing, and it's not being neglected, and it's not falling down anymore. And I think that overall, given what she had to work with, she's done an exceptional job.
I agree.
I think the scope of the project warrants it as
I would agree
stated.
on that. Like, I'm
Yeah.
so thankful that I sat and watched that house disintegrate. Year by year, it would just get worse and worse. And I think that she came in at just the right time, and considering what she had, she did a remarkable job in my
It
opinion.
was on the brink of demolition by neglect.
Yep.
So that's certainly, for someone to take a large-scale project like that, I think is worthy of praiseworthy, rather.
Yeah.
So I would nominate that home.
I'll second that.
I think everybody here agrees with that.
Yeah,
And I would say, yeah, the church too. I'm glad that they're working on the church.
You know.
Yeah, and especially, yeah, and
So maybe do we have a category as residential and non-residential, rather than saying business, or since a church or a community organization or whatever kind of building? I mean, I wouldn't want to say permanently,
well, do we have to
I don't think that
even
we
put
We
it?
have to specify.
Yeah,
We never specified anything.
think
that's true.
all we have to do is, there's 2 of them, period, that's it. Go, keep on going, but they're high-profile buildings, both of them. And I think they're perfect candidates, and just let's go with it.
yeah, sounds good.
Timing,
Was it?
timing.
Oh, I don't know. The timing is all based on, we go through, Gold Hand Signs for the awards is who we've gone through the last couple of years. And the award is part of and so it's, the last couple of years, the timing has been based around his schedule of getting them done. So I'll reach out to him and, see if we can get those going again. And then, yeah, we'll probably shoot a video, for that as well. Yeah,
Maybe. I was gonna say, maybe we can do the video sooner than later, only because of the weather.
makes sense to me.
Shows better than
Yeah.
pouring down rain.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Though the air may be clearer once it starts raining.
Well, I don't mean today, but I mean, but I mean, so probably, in the later September, maybe it's.
Yeah, no, that's good. And it would be nice to make sure that all the windows are done on the Catholic Church, for that video, so. Cool. So we're through 2 there. What, do you folks want any status of ongoing projects?
Sure.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, what projects would you like first?
What's going on at the Taylor Building?
What is going on at the Taylor Building? So, the Taylor Building, there's a back, it's not considered the same building. So, the Taylor Building itself is the same. There's a back part, and boy, it would be, Karen, I had you pull up Google Maps. So the back part of the building, if you remember, it used to have this really 70s looking thing on it. No.
You have to give
So
her the
is
opportunity
it,
to learn.
is it a separate property or is it the same?
It's a separate property. It's even in the designation as a separate building.
Okay.
The address is 148 Monmouth Street. And so, the back,
Yeah, there's Jubilees.
so the back of the building had a 70,
Try putting in the address to see if that helps, 1470.
if you let me drive, I'll show you how it's done.
Well, if you walk her through it, she'll learn and you won't have to drive every time.
148, did you say?
Yes.
Yeah, so
Here we go.
There it is.
There you go. Good job, Karen. Proud of you.
It's those 2 units right there.
Great question, Jennifer.
on screens and then you can go to see more dates right there. Just pick something older.
And what's the rating on those 2 or is it 1 building or 2?
It's classified as one building. The rating was historic, non-contributing.
Okay, what was the date out of curiosity?
What was the date?
Date of the building?
Oh, shoot.
If it was historic, it'd be pre-30s?
I think it's 1920, if I remember right. But you can see that when you look at that building on the left, right there, that awning and whatnot, the whole structure was not a contributing not contributing. And so they took that siding off the building, and I think it was one of those things where you take the siding off and sort of see what you have to work with. And so in that process, there's the more recent picture. They recreated the building on the left with sort of more of an original window configuration. And now
Painted
this
bricks.
building, now this building on the right, they're trying to figure out what to do with that building. So they were planning on just putting siding on top of that. At this point, I wrote Bodie Bemrose, the owner of the building, and I said, what are you planning on doing with the building? It needs historic preservation review. It's a staff level review though, because it's a non-contributing building. At this point, he's now preparing a set of plans to submit. He did submit an application, but it sounds like the front facade is, he's gonna rethink what he was originally planning for the front facade. He had a picture of like a wooden structure originally behind the Taylor building, and I think he thought that that was the original building I think he thought that that was that building. And I said, I don't think you're thinking of the right building. I think that shed's long since gone. So that's sort of what's going on with that building.
I love the white brick.
Ugh, I hate
It's really
it.
good, in my opinion.
I hate painted brick so much. It's just gonna all blend into the sky once winter comes, just like the bank does now. I hate painted brick.
What do you call it? Peanut?
Painted.
Oh, painted.
So that's that building. what's going on with that building. At this point, I'm still waiting to find out more myself, to see what the design looks like.
Thanks.
Yep.
What about the building across the street from the library? What is that called?
Oh, that
123.
Stonehenge?
Oh,
that.
common,
Stonehenge,
oh, the.
or
Well,
Skeletor,
no,
or
it's
whatever.
got a nice name.
203 Monmouth. At this point, it's, it's still waiting on permits. I think it's kind of stalled out at this point again with the
I'd like to
interest.
know before I die.
Have they started, it looked like they might have been working on the home that they were restoring next door to that.
Yes, that is, that is a good thing right there, that home right next to it. You can see it kind of there. That has now a foundation underneath it. When you look at it, it is way more plumb than it was.
Yes.
So that's a good thing. Yeah, and a whole bunch, and all of the character defining features are still there.
Other than it looks a little strange next to the tree.
Yeah. So there
But
is
my
work
question
ongoing on
is the
that.
one next to it.
Was that?
My question is the one on the corner.
Yeah, yeah,
Because it looks like they've taken a lot of things out of the back of the building, you know?
yeah. Yeah,
When you get into the parking lot of the library, you can see that part of it.
I'm trying to think where I heard from somebody that they did an inspection on the structure, the engineering part, and
They
it was in
did.
better shape than they expected as far as 20 years of just sitting there.
yeah, that's true.
That was in worse shape, isn't it?
Better.
No, it's in better shape than they expected.
Yeah, they x-rayed the building apparently.
X-rayed, okay.
But it's not going anywhere.
Well,
I mean,
Nothing is, okay.
at this point.
And then what about across the street from the library parking lot?
That project is continuing to move forward. Site design review is gonna start at some point. I did see an application,
one
but I
at Ian
haven't,
Second?
I haven't looked at the application. It came in right before I left.
But she does need to do something about that lot because it's full of horrible like ground wasps that I have heard are, because I live right there, so I hear people like, oh my God, did it get you too? They're stinging people that are walking by. So she needs to do something. It doesn't look like that anymore.
No.
Any other questions about projects that are going
What
on?
about the, right across the, immediately west of the tracks on Sixth, on G Street?
Okay.
All the, trees have been removed and, there was a sign there that said it was,
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
so
let's
that's
just,
that's outside of the district.
oh, okay.
But yeah, right now, there is an application in for someone to put up a storage building on the back of that lot. There,
It probably goes like 3 blocks,
Where are you talking about?
G Street.
right on the other side of the tracks on G Street,
Oh,
where all the
okay.
deer used to be all the time and, not anymore.
so there is a project to put a storage building on the back of that lot. There is also some conversation at the planning commission level about the idea of potentially rezoning that lot. Right now, it's zoned light industrial, and it probably makes more sense to have it being in such close proximity to downtown, more of a residential sort of use than light industrial. If it's light industrial, my feeling is we're gonna get all storage buildings on the lot, which would be would not be ideal for that location, I would say.
Do you know the address of that?
No, I do not. I wanna say 289 G Street, but that might be wrong. 249 G Street, maybe, I don't know.
How you keep it all up in there, Fred?
right?
It's not, that's a wild guess.
That's pretty close. Just right on the other.
Scroll
Yeah,
around.
flip it to the left, Karen.
Behind this, yeah.
Yeah,
Keep
right
going
there.
towards the tracks.
Yep,
Yeah,
right,
right
right.
there.
And immediately to the right of that triangle sign, you
Yeah.
see all the
Okay.
dirt all down there? There,
Okay.
right there. And that goes all the way,
It's probably
Actually,
one
yeah.
block. It's
oh,
not,
but it goes a lot of blocks. Because I think that's the houses that you could see way in the back are the start of where and then those apartments come in on I Street. I think that's.
yeah,
as
no,
far
it
as
doesn't go all the way. It doesn't go all the way.
Okay.
It's just one block from G to H, I'm pretty certain. Any other questions about projects going on?
Yeah, that common grounds,
Oh, yeah, so,
common ground,
One across from,
Oh, the Airbnb,
Yeah.
short-term rental.
yeah,
It
so.
is? Is
on,
that what that is?
Yeah,
Doesn't look like it at all.
Yeah, the common ground,
Oh,
right, the old
those
dentist
things that
office.
look like stores, you know, I mean.
Yeah, that's what I thought it
We
was.
have had places that.
I had heard it
With the
changed to
location, I
apartments.
think it will probably be rented all the time.
Well,
I had heard it was changed to apartments, not
Oh,
Airbnb.
really?
I read that
this-
too on a community page.
apartment?
that from my perspective, this turned out way better than what could have happened. I mean, I think this project looks very nice. Go back in time just so we can remember what it looked like.
Yeah,
It's improved a lot.
Well, yes, it's.
See more dates, Karen.
There's no privacy in this place.
Yeah, because they had nice shady trees.
you're saying 4 short-term rentals as in
So anyways,
residential?
it was, I mean, for those of us, yeah, show it from the side. It was a mansard roof, and it was, I mean, it looked 70s-ish. And so going to what it is now is a major improvement. I mean, it just looks way better. They incorporated brick on the front. Again, they painted the brick, which Commissioner Flores doesn't like. And I mean, and I agree, I thought the brick looked really nice on this one, but I mean, the white to me, I mean, it's a nice looking project.
The white's in vogue right now.
It's true. Yeah, but once
Yeah.
you put it on. it's never
Historic
coming off.
preservation, I like timeless things,
Yeah.
not whatever's currently.
I agree with the
trend.
natural brick too, but it still looks nice.
Yeah, it looks way better than what it was. So that was a project that was, the structure was, it was out of period, non-contributing structure. They went through staff level review, so as my review, I put a whole bunch of conditions on them about brick on the front of the building. The roof, I thought was gonna make it far more conforming with our standards in the downtown, because it would actually raise how the front of the building looked, whereas the mansard roof sort of made it appear squat, going big. You know, doing a shed roof on it made it look much taller than the previous thing did, and so all of that stuff was, I mean,
it was a homely looking,
what's that?
it was a homely looking building.
It was, yeah, it's come a long ways. I definitely think it looks a lot better.
I just wondered what the heck it was.
Yeah, I think, I mean, what it's changed a few times. I heard that it was gonna be short-term rental. I heard that it was gonna be office, and now I'm hearing that it's gonna be a longer-term rental. So I don't know. I think we'll see when it gets finalized and people start using it.
Is there something What are you most excited about that you know is on the horizon?
In terms of projects in town? I don't know. I think there's a lot of good projects going on in town. I mean, from my perspective, C Street is exciting just because, you know, for the longest time, there wasn't a whole lot of vitality on C Street, but now we have the Golden Hop. We have a bunch of businesses, smaller businesses along that street. I think that's exciting.
And they're happy.
What's that?
And they're happy,
That's good.
because I've gone into it several times, and I've asked them, how they're, how they feel about their business, and they said they're doing fairly well, and they're very happy about, especially about the trolley. They're getting a lot of people coming in from Monmouth,
That's good.
so they're happy.
So I don't know. Seems like lots of stuff is going on.
Yes.
Trolley, the trolley's, I like the trolley.
A lot of people.
But I mean,
ride it.
Yeah, the trolley's cool.
Just the fact that we're having this such big ridership, you know,
Yeah.
far exceeding our expectations, so.
Yeah, so that's good.
So could I move along to number 4?
Yeah,
I have a project that I would like to talk about.
okay,
It's really regarding the Haynes Weaver Award.
yeah,
It's really regarding the Haynes Weaver Awards that we've been doing.
Yeah.
And my idea is to actually have a physical scrapbook at the Heritage Museum of our awards. In other words, we don't have anything on the website, really,
Yeah.
and I'm thinking this would be an ongoing kind of a thing. And if we had the before pictures and we had the after pictures, and we could have a page for each, each award, and this year, if we have the 2 categories, in other words. And we would keep that up as, that would be part of our job. And I'll say I would be willing to do that, to work with the museum about it.
that's a great idea. Yeah, I think that's a great idea, and you know what? We have someone who has spent some time on our historic preservation website. I haven't looked at it, I haven't had the time to look at it,
No.
but it looks way better. I mean, honestly, the page looks a lot better, but I haven't, like I said, I haven't looked at it. Reviewed it and everything. But she would be very happy to work with you on that project, and she could do the website focused portion, and you could do the physical portion.
Yeah,
And I think that would be a good partnership.
okay. I was just thinking, like 10 years, if we had like a big scrapbook, and
Yeah.
then people come and they turn the pages, 10 years ago, that's what this building, that's what the church looked like, and, you can actually see we don't have anything on the website to see our progress
Yeah.
as a group, and this would be
Yeah.
blowing
I
our
think that's
horn, or whatever you want to call it, at least to let people know what we do,
good. I mean, and-
other than say, you can't do that.
Yeah, honestly, like, the more that we can be proactive and about historic preservation, the better. Yeah.
Do we have a Bible in a sense, or something that you hand out people that are working on projects on town so that they understand what is expected of them? Because I happen to know someone that's, working on something, and they kind of made it sound like it's not as clear as it could have been, and they could have avoided some mistakes and time and money.
Yeah.
No, I asked about that a while back.
Yeah.
I think that would be a really good project to have.
Yeah, no, that has been like sort of when you buy a property in the historic district, this is what to expect.
Or in just have for people that already own. Like, okay, I'm ready to do some preservation, and you can tie it into what you brought up with the grant.
Yeah.
Like, here's some resources, these are the preferred partners, these are the expectations for the windows in the front, and this is the expectation for the wood. And obviously, it would have to be updated as changes are made, but.
Right. Right, I mean, we have, I mean, yeah, I think that's good. Yeah. I talk to a lot of realtors about like when people are interested in a property, but not everybody calls. And then, yeah, sometimes even when people are doing projects, even when people come here, they're surprised then when they get further into the project and realize, oh, shoot, you know, and I have to tell them, you're doing something that was never approved, you know? So.
And in that book, like, when are you expected to check in with the city? Like, where are the boundaries so that they know, like, okay, I'm at this point, I need to call Fred?
Right, yeah, basically, I mean, it's like for like, it's like for like materials, like for like projects, all of that sort of stuff, and a like window to a like window is not going from wood to vinyl, right? Or a like materials is not going from a shiplap siding to a shiplap wood siding to a hardy plank siding. So it's like for like, or anything outside of the building, basically, like a landscape feature, a fence, you know, trees and whatnot, except for historic trees, that sort of stuff.
Right, but what she's saying, and what I have said in the past is like, we need to be proactive with it instead of reactive and waiting until,
Would be part of the, or could be part of the closing documents when somebody buys a house. I mean, we know which houses come under our,
Yeah, and we had talked about that before. It's just a matter of, I mean,
That became a cost prohibitive
There
venture.
are closing documents now, and I could print that off and bring it so that we can see what it looks like, but he's got a leg cramp. You gonna be okay?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I could bring that in so we can read it, but it is part of the OREF forms now.
yeah, that'd be awesome.
Okay.
I'm done. My Charlie horse says I'm done.
Are we done with staff reports?
Yeah, I think basically, I mean, those are the things that I basically wanted to talk about. Happy to talk about anything else, so.
Unfinished or new business? I have some questions.
Okay,
They're code questions.
yeah.
I don't know if you recall, I emailed you a definition question
Oh, a definition. I don't know. Okay, so what's the definition?
of an addition. There doesn't seem to be a definition of an addition in the code.
Okay. Why are you asking the question?
Let's get through the definition first, and then there may be a point to it, and then there may not be a point.
Okay, so are you asking specifically about the historic preservation code?
I'm asking about everything in the code, addition.
Okay.
But
Because,
there are terms, the term addition is used in both the development code and the historic preservation, so there should be one definition, correct?
yeah, there should be, how the historic preservation code, and I mean, maybe I shouldn't.
I couldn't find a definition in either the development code or the historic preservation code.
Okay.
It's an important term.
Yeah. Let me get to it.
He's got Charlie horse.
So, So how the alteration or addition reads is it's any exterior alteration or addition to a structure shall go through a review process. So,
No, it's alteration of a historic feature or an addition goes through a type 2 hearing.
type 2, right, but
Right.
any alteration period or addition period goes through at least a type 1, is how it reads.
But it specifically says on a non-contributing property, an addition goes through a type 2.
Oh, right, yeah,
Right.
that's exactly right, that's exactly
So we need to know what an addition
what
is.
an addition is, I see what you're saying. All right. Let me go up to addition then. I don't have my control find on the iPad.
Well, there's no definition,
There's no definition.
no. So either we have a problem with a very ambiguous item in the code,
Yeah,
or we have a problem with the application of the code. I
right,
don't know which, until we know what addition is. I'm not trying to say it is one thing or isn't one
Yeah.
thing. I'm just curious, what is an addition?
let me,
At first, somebody suggested, well, it's stuff that adds to the square footage of your living space. Well, but then you look at, is a garage an addition? I would think that would be an addition.
I would think that's an addition too.
What about a sunroom? What about a porch?
I would say that's addition.
What about attached deck?
No, if it's not covered, I would say probably not an attached deck.
What makes that different from a porch as far as, I'm not arguing either way.
If we're talking a cover on it, I would say yes. If we're talking about a non-covered,
Okay, so an enclosed, a semi-enclosed, or unenclosed area that has a roof that's attached to the structure.
that's what I would say is an addition.
Well, he has to have a roof that's kind of
Okay,
like, maybe, right?
That's what I would say. A roof adds to the structure. A deck does not necessarily add to a structure. A deck could be
the
standalone.
reason I thought about this is, after every meeting,
Yeah,
when I take a position on something,
yeah,
I like to argue in my head the counter position.
yeah, okay.
Because I like being right, and arguing with yourself kind of prevents that. And Commissioner Flores brought up
agree with you a lot, yeah.
no,
You must get
this is something that you brought up, and Fred and I kind of both shut it down, but I started looking at the code, and I was thinking, was that an addition, or was that an alteration? Because it made a difference on that thing you brought up.
I don't remember what I brought up.
What's the address, the Black House?
Oh, I don't
Oh,
know.
on the corner of Osprey, yeah, right.
Oh, the upstairs.
Yeah.
Right, and so the deck, by the definition we just came up with, is not an addition. However, the porch that I brought up a few years earlier is an addition and should have come for review.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
And I'm not like here to like, oh, you did something, because we've done stuff that's wrong too. But I realized we had a problem
Yeah,
because we did not have a clear definition.
right, okay.
And I started arguing back and forth. Was that an addition or was that an alteration? And you need a definition. So at a minimum, we need to.
Define what addition is.
Exactly.
Okay.
I'll work with Fred.
And so I'm glad you brought that up because it made me really think about the code. And that's a clear, like, spot that needs to be, we need to flesh it out.
Yeah, that sounds good.
And I think the definition that we all kind of came up with sounds appropriate, doesn't it to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's how, I mean, let me look into the building code definition of addition, to see what that says. But yeah, I could write that out.
I mean, I looked in the development code, because it doesn't have to be defined in the historic preservation, but it needs to be defined somewhere in the code.
Definitely.
And that was a weak spot in the code and could create some tension if something's done administratively that maybe should have gotten a review.
Yeah, because
Okay.
I would say, like, we have a back porch and it has a cover over it, but I certainly wouldn't call it living space of any means. But if it had walls on it, then sure, or if it was enclosed, but my back porch with a crappy plastic wavy roof over it? No way, Jose.
Well, yours is a contributing structure, so.
Right, I'm just saying as far as the definition
Oh,
of
as far as
addition goes, like my back deck with its corrugated cover over the top, I would argue that that is not additional living space whatsoever. Like, there's no way in heck I go out there except for on sunny days, sometimes, but it's not living space just because it
Well,
has a
that's what
cover
we
over
were
it.
saying. We were saying garages aren't living space either, but we were basically saying a closed or semi-enclosed area that's attached to the house that has a cover, a roof.
So really the question is that if you want someone attaching something to their house, what are the limits and restrictions, right? What are you going to limit and restrict?
This really, as far as the Historic Preservation Code, really only comes up under one specific instance. That's on a non-contributing structure. A historic non-contributing. That's the only time it affects us
Yeah.
or affects Fred. Yeah. Whether it gets a type 1 or a type 2 review. So-
Right.
And it wasn't clear.
Yeah, no, I think that's good.
Okay. That's all I had. Does anybody else have anything? We're adjourned.
Okay.